Okay, so just to show you how I merge the logs, this is my AFR log and this is my ESL log, and this is the template I've built to merge the two together. Okay, so what I need to do is find my start point. So when I am out logging in the car, I use this software for the AFR logging, PLX. It comes up on the graph here, and it also comes up in the display in the car, and then you've got like a time graph at the bottom. So that's what logs my CSV for the AFR, and then over here I've got the ESL, as you know, ESL CSV that's the ECU spits out. Okay, so I need to find my start point, which I used free throttle blips, and I did that twice. So open my AFR, I'm going to look for the free throttle blips. So actually I'll do it with the ESL first, so let's open that up. Let's go MegaLog Viewer so we can see it. So in here I zoom out a bit, and what I'm doing is looking for the throttle blip. So here, if I use my left and right key on the keyboard, I can move along the log, and here I can see that they're in white where it says 10.2 on the second graph down. That's my throttle position switch, and you'll see that jumps up to 47.3 on the first blip, and then 16, and then 16.8. So those are my first three throttle blips. And then if we jump forward a bit, you'll see my second set here. So again, 3 blips. Cool, but we use the first one. That's cool. So what I want to do is I want to get my point in this log that I'm at just before the throttle blip. So down here at the bottom, I can see the record says record time cell for this entry is 258. So what I'll do is I'll go to my document that I logged the numbers in. So here you go, this is prepared. 258 is my first entry, and then this is the millisecond. So here you put 39436, which is down in the center at the bottom of the MegaLog Viewer at the point you're on in the log. Cool. So then we're going to do the same now for the AFR. So we close MegaLog Viewer because we've got the start point for that, and then we go to our other document, right click that, open it with MegaLog Viewer, and then we find the start point for this. So I should see the AFR readings jump 3 times. So here I switch to my other tab, which has different graphs and fields displayed. Here I've got my entries from the CSV. So I choose Lambert or gas, they're the same, doesn't matter. Cool, so I zoom out using the scroll wheel on the mouse, and then I can see this is all just idle. And then we get to my 3 blips, which are just there before I start driving. So I go to the first blip, so I can see there that the first real change is there. So I'll choose that cell. So down here on the record cell log is 431, that's the line it's on. So, and then also down at the bottom it's got the millisecond time. So I go to my document here, so I see 431 is that entry down there, and then I got this number which is the millisecond, which is in the middle at the bottom in red, 43900. So now we have our 2 start points. So I close MegaLog View HD, don't save that. Right, cool. I've also named these entries in my text document to show the name of the file that has that start point, so that I can always reference back to these. I've got an entry for every single log I've ever done. So every time I get a new one, I just copy and paste this and change the name. So I've always got a start point. Cool. So in here I can now open these in Excel. So open with Excel, and I'm going to merge them in Excel. So here are the entries from the ESL logs. So I change a couple of things in here, like I change this one to RPM 25 because that's the 25-step increment one, and I don't want to see that one because I can't see above a certain rev range. So using the 50 RPM step, MegaLog Viewer is set to look for this field entry to display RPM. So that's why I had to modify this one so that it doesn't recognize it. Cool. And then over here I've got to change my vehicle speed setting, because I have another calculation in MegaLog Viewer that puts this into miles per hour, and my car is kph because it's a JAP import. Cool. So that's it, and now we've got to inject our function, but we'll do that in a second. So if I open up the other document in Excel, AFR, these are my AFR entries that have come out of the PLX device. You can change these names, sometimes I do, but it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So we're going to move this sheet over to be in the same sheet as the ESL log. Move it to the end, so then we'll get a second tab. So there you go. So now we've got both the ESL and the AFR in the same sheet. Document, book, whatever it is. Right. So now we need to get our template. So I go to my template I've built, open that up. Cool. So there's the same thing at the bottom, two tabs. One's for the ESL log and one's for the AFR log, and we're going to inject these fields into our document we're trying to merge. So if we take the AFR one first, so copy these boxes, copy, switch to my other document, and then we're going to insert these at the top. Cool. So now what we need to do is find our start point that we've, well, move these cells here, which have my calculations in them, to the first start point we found earlier. So we cut these, and then we switch to our document to get the number. So for the AFR it's 431. So come back to here and we want to go to cell 431, so it's B431, enter. B431, I think I hit a key there. Cool. So B431, and we want to step down one step and paste that in, because the one step down is where we first saw entries in the log for the throttle being moved. Okay, so what we have to do here is we have to just adjust these. So because it's copied from my template, it's looking at the wrong cells. So we need to put in the first cell, which is 431, in here, 431, and then the next cell down, 432. 432, enter. And then that gives us the correct millisecond difference between those two cells. So we'll copy that down. That overwrites the entry below, but with one increment step down. So at the top, if you look, you'll see its number jumps up one, so taking the next log. This cell here, every time you copy and paste, it always seems to find the correct cells at the top. The one above doesn't so much, but this one does. So you can just grab the little dot in the corner and extend it from the bottom up to give you the correct calculation that we want. And then these two are the millisecond difference between the entries accumulating. So this is how we know where we want to pull from the AFR for the milliseconds from our two start points. So these are correct. So now you've done this, you can now extend this box down to the bottom of the document for every entry, and this will calculate each of those cells incrementally, going up one step and then accumulating towards these two cells you can see. Okay, cool. Now we switch to the actually before we do that, let's go to the bottom of my document. Yeah, okay, so sometimes my template is shorter than the log we've got, so you just have to extend it to the bottom. Great. So now we've got every entry, and the template has every entry. Okay, so now we switch to the ESL one, and what we're going to do here is copy from our template document, go to the ESL tab, copy that. I inject this in before the time. The reason I do that is because you'll see in a minute you can't extend by double tapping the box. I'll show you. So let's insert copied cells. It'll ask you for a document, ignore that because we're going to change that in a minute. Cool. So same again, find our start point. So let's cut this, and then we need to go to cell 258. So we go C258, C258, enter, and then one step down and paste. And then we can put our yellow line in for the start point. So that's where we had our cursor in MegaLog Viewer, but the entry starts, one step up, one step along. Okay, cool. So same thing again, we need to change these cell entries at the top here. So this is 258 and this one is 259. Enter. And then we can extend that down below to overwrite that one, and then this one always takes the correct entry. So same again, drag that up. And now all these four are correct. The milliseconds always works out, and then these are going to be modified in a minute. So what we do first is take these entries and extend them down to the bottom, and then we'll go down to the bottom by double tapping, and you see the log from my template is shorter than the entries I've just logged in this new one we're trying to merge. So the reason I put the time on the left is in a CSV formatted document in Excel, it doesn't like it when you have no numbers on the left when you try to use this double dot. So you just tap it and nothing happens. So that's why I insert it after the time field. So now when I double tap, it will take it all the way to the bottom. And now we have all our entries to the bottom of our latest log. Cool. So then we need to do the next part. This is where it gives you the AFR. So at the top here, click on the address for the table lookup, and then we're going to click on the array that it's looking up, because we're going to modify it to our new table. So we tap that, and then we switch to the other tab where the array is, and we choose the first entry, so our start point, and then we drag all the way to the bottom to the last cell, and we hold shift and click the far most right bottom cell, and then that's selected the entire array. And now when we press enter, it switches us back to our ESL document, and then we can extend this down to give us the next entry incrementally down, and then just double tap and it will fill all the AFRs into the bottom. So now we have our AFRs, every AFR entry matching in the ESL document. So this one does Lambda, so here you can click here and choose the array again, and it will give you the Lambda, because here you can see there's a number 3, that's the third position along in the array. The first one was position 2 for the AFRs, this is now for the Lambdas 3, and then later we'll do the volts, which should be 7. So we've clicked our array that we want to choose, so we switch to the other tab, same again. You can hold shift and start from reverse if you want. So I go to the top entry, and then we hold shift, and that selects the whole array, enter again, and then we get our AFR, Lambda. So again we stretch that down, and then we can double tap, and then that gives us every Lambda entry. And then the volt, let's see, this one chooses from number 7. Let's see if this works. I've only just set this up in the template, so we switch, go for the first entry and all the way to the bottom, and this is choosing for cell 7th along from the first cell in the array. So that should give us the volts. Yay, cool. So then we can stretch this down, and then we've got volts as well, which is cool if you want volts. It's pretty good to see what your alternator's doing and stuff, especially if you're pushing your injectors a bit too far, whatnot. You can see that. Cool. So now we go file, save as. I'll save this as an Excel so I can edit it if I need to. Hopefully I don't. So processed box, so it will take the name, Excel, cool. But we need to make this into a CSV so that MegaLog Viewer can read it. So we'll go back again, and I'll just save it as a CSV as well. I'll keep the Excel document so I can edit it. The CSV is not so good to edit with. Okay, so that takes CSV extension on the end. Cool, save. It tells me that it's, you know, it's not a Word, it's not an Excel Word workbook, and so you can't have the multiple sheets and stuff. So that's cool. Just click OK and yes, and it will just composite it down to a single sheeted document. Right, cool. Now we can open this processed document, this one at the top, our CSV. If we open that now in MegaLog Viewer, we can see our merged AFRs. So not only is it merging the AFRs, it's also giving you every other reading that the PLX device can log, which is quite a lot of stuff if you've got all the components to go with it. So here I'll go to my default layout that I have, the certain fields I like to see. Cool, so now if I go to the first AFR entry, you can see there that as the throttle's blipped, the AFR comes up. You will get a slight difference, you know, we're talking milliseconds obviously. Sometimes you get it bang on, sometimes, you know, you might be one step off, but this is pretty damn close. So here you can see as I'm blipping the throttle, the fuel increases and then leans out when I let off, where it goes to air, and then it tries to find Lambda 14.7 where I'm idling, and then a blip again where I blip the throttle, goes lean for a second, then goes rich, and then goes to lean when I take my foot off the throttle, and then back to, you know, closed loop amber control, which you can see at the top actually, the coarse fuel correction going up and down. Okay, so let's see if we go to somewhere where I start accelerating quite spiritedly. Okay, so this first one here, so you can see my AFR is in green. It's the third graph up, and at the moment it's showing 12.3, 14.2, 15.2, 14.3, so you can see which one I'm talking about in green at the bottom AFR. That's the one we've added into the log. So here you can see where I start accelerating, hitting boost, the AFR start richening up, 11.3, 10.7, 10.8, and then I'm at max peak boost there for that moment, 1.26 bar boost, and its fuel has gone down to, or fuel is increased to 10.7, which is a lot richer than I'd have it. This would normally be at about 11.5, you know, if that, which gives me the best performance I've found. But I just changed the fuel pump, put an uprated fuel pump in, so I'm getting a lot more fuel now. So the other way to look at this is to look at the histogram table, and here if I choose to show AFR, my default configuration layout, here I can see all the AFRs over time. They're averaged, so it just takes a log for every hit and then it averages out the number inside, so you get a pretty reasonable figure. But up here you can filter out things that are involved in this display, so like we don't really want when I'm off throttle, so I've added a filter in myself that removes the entries if I'm off throttle, so then I get, you know, a refined version of it. And then up here I've got AFRs at air, so any AFRs below like 19.6, it will remove those entries as well. And then I've also got a cool one I set up the other day, which is descending load. So if I just click in the entry and show you what the car's doing here, so if I walk through you'll see the blue bar moving, and as I lift off the throttle it will drop. So there, just as it comes off the throttle and it drops, that's a descending load. So I've put a calculation in to remove any entries during the descending period. So then you see just really when you're throttling, and there you'll see more representative of what is actually happening when you're under load boost. So I can see that I'm hitting into the tens, so I'll just change that a bit. And then also you've got scatter plots, so you can see, for example, this one is quite cool setup. It shows you the gears. So you can see first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then you can filter out that AFRs to air, filter out off throttle, even filter out vacuum, so you just see in boost, or filter out the descending loads, and then where you hover you can see the readings. So here I've got a difference of 12, so I've entered in a calculation to give me the AFRs differences. So this is telling me the differences away from 12, basically 12.0 AFR, and how far away I am from that, and it's got a colour scale. If I go to the histogram view and show you that, I can show you the 12 difference plus. So here it gives me the AFR differences away from 12 or whatever I choose to get it away from. This will give me the differences, so I can see how many AFRs over I am in that cell, and then I can make that difference in this software for ESL. That's it. I can see boost as well, to see what my boost layout. I can have the boost laid out like this in AFR. Let's turn the filters off. So I can see what boost I was hitting in bar. I can also see it in the same way it's laid out in ESL. So my throttle position switch on the left, and then my revs. And I've done one up to 8,000 RPM, which is what I'm running pretty much. So yeah, so it goes up to 7.9 and throttle position, so I can see what boost I was hitting, and then see if it's matching what I was trying to target in the ESL software, and then I can adjust the duty cycles or the target boost, and yeah, that's how I can see what I'm hitting. It's cool.